Yeah, I see you out there in the dirt, Bludd. Thinking your little minefields are gonna stop me. Watch me walk through your poetry with wire cutters and style. Let's see who's left smiling.
Boots hit the soil and the vibe gets strange. Clown shoes walking through a danger range. Hands shaky when I'm making toast, but give me C4, man, I'm the ghost. Heartbeat don't rise, I just breathe and dig. While you playing poet, I'm rigging the gig. One wire buzz and your bass goes black. Better pray I trip, cause if I don't, I attack. I'm the fuse, I'm the calm. In the middle of the hum. They say I'm shook, but I'm surgical. In chaos, I'm chemical. Red, green, I wonder. Well, I'll cut the wire that feels right. Hope I don't blunder. Looking shaky, but I'm steady in my mind, steady in my hand. But one misstep and I'm out of the band. Red, green, I wonder. Time to bring the thunder. I'm gonna bring the thunder. You out in bunkers, I walk on fire. Playing hopscotch with barbed wire. You recite verses like a cobra bard, but my punchlines hit twice as hard. Yeah, your rhymes weak like your tactics blind. Got landmines singing lullabies while I recline. I'm the joke until I'm not. You know the moment when I pop the spot. I don't shake, I don't stall. When the countdown starts to crawl, this is it, in the middle of doom. And brother, I bring the boom. Red, green, I wonder. Well, I'll cut the wire that feels right. Hope I don't blunder. Looking shaky, but I'm steady in my mind, steady in my hand. But one misstep and I'm out of the band. Red, green, I wonder. Time to bring the thunder. I'm gonna let that thunder sing. Say I'm clumsy. Yeah. I spill soup, I trip on air, but hand me that chord and I'm floating in prayer like whoosh, mind clear. Fingers glide, my balance, nah, it's just delayed stride and Bludd's bad poetry. When you're feeling low and woozy, bro, I'm feeling sick from your loosey-goosey. You rhyme like a bat with a dented head. I'm here to teach you rhythm with legs. Red, green, I wonder. Well, I'll cut the wire that feels right. Hope I don't blunder. Looking shaky, but I'm steady in my mind, steady in my hand. But one misstep and I'm out of the band. Red, green, I wonder. Time to bring the thunder. I'm gonna let that thunder sing. So, is this the end of Bludd? Or just the last clean breath I get before the mind's bite? Guess we'll see.
Got Mature content warning. On Logan's Joe Takes, strategic commentary may include strong language, heated opinions, classified references. Time to call in the Joes. Opposing forces may attempt audio interference. Logan's Joe Takes. Mission begins now.
Yo, Joe, I am Logan, the G.I. Joe Gamer. I hope you're all doing great tonight. Some little background music on here while we chat. We got a few folks in the chat already. Hello, Cool Gamer. What's up, buddy? Cool Gamer rocking with us. Look at this. We got Jess Laws. Hello, my friend Jess. It's always good to see you. And look at this. We got Retirement Days, Comfort Foods, and more. Hello, Betty. It's nice to see all of you. Hope you're all having a good night. And I'm ready to talk some G.I. Joe. Those of you watching and haven't commented, that's cool too. Hang out and here, listen to some G.I. Joe. I got some cool characters to talk about tonight. Now, I'm also going to be starting the G.I. Joe checklist, which I'm going to compare what I have of the vintage compared to what they have out for the classified, what I have in the classified, and what they need for each individual year. And so I'm going to start with 82 and 83 together because they merged those in 83 and redid the figures. And so it was kind of like one big year again, all over again. So it's like one big team at that point. So yeah, I'm going to talk about all of that here at the end of the show, but we're going to kick it off by checking out a figure. Now, I never had Tripwire. It was just a character I never really, not the original. And I ended up buying one in 1985. And so I'll show you that one first because it was the first one I have. And I bought it with a pack because I really wanted Tripwire because he was a cool character and I was just starting to collect in 1985. And you had this figure that came out on a Speak and Say cassette. It came with a cassette tape. It had a little adventure on the cassette with Tripwire. And it was kind of cool. And they had voice actors doing voices. And for a 15-year-old kid, I thought that was pretty cool and back in the way, Dave. But the figure they put in this package is bright orange with red panels and a red helmet, and you know, I was like happy to have Tripwire, but it was just, to me, I was like, wow, look what they did with this character. Now I'm going to show you the original because I acquired it this last month just for this video, and because I've always wanted an original Tripwire figure. But that wasn't the next one I got. The next one I got, and it came out in 1988. So, a visit from Sins. What up? He just brought me some sodas. Thanks, bud. Yeah. This here, it was the Tiger Force Tripwire, which came out in 1988. Now, this was my Tripwire. I played with this sucker to death. As you can see, the waist part on the crotch is broken off, and you know, other than that, I actually kept it in pretty decent shape. I mean, he had the mine detector. Now, see, I had the original one in this color with him with 3 mines in the backpack. Now, I'm missing a mine, and I have an extra backpack, so I don't know how I acquired it. But I didn't have any extra mines. You know, you'd think I'd have extra mines, at least be able to put 3 together. But I probably have them somewhere. I have bags of accessories in various places in my storage, so that's the story on that. But I thought this Tiger Force Tripwire was awesome. You know, it was really cool. The colors were nice, and it was had the earth tones to it, and I really liked it. Now, that said, now that I have the original Tripwire, I still like the Tiger Force better. But no, I like this one too. This one's pretty cool, and it basically came with a black mine detector with a green backpack, which I like a lot, with the 3 mines. And when I acquired this, it was pretty cool because this is a neat character. He's their mine detector. He's the only mine detector in G.I. Joe. I mean, they have other explosive experts, but only one mine detector. Now, the seller also included the file card, which I love. I just think that's awesome because I never had one. I mean, I had the 1988 one, but I lost all my file cards in a fire one year back in the early 90s. So that really sucked. But I've been slowly reacquiring some of them, like this one. So there's the mine detector Tripwire. And yeah, I've got a file card video I'm going to play for him. Hello, Kenneth Bird. Welcome in. It's good to see you. I hope you're doing all well, and having a good night. If I can speak properly. Now, the seller also included one of the 90s trading cards. I have this whole set, but it's kind of cool. Now I have a double of the G.I. Joe headquarters. Now, I don't know why I included this particular card with Tripwire, but it's nice to have an extra card for my trading card set. I have the entire set that I picked up a couple years back, maybe a year and a half, for like $25 on eBay. So they're out there, and you can acquire them. Now, in the 25th anniversary line, or what I like to call the modern line, or millennial line, they came out with a version of Tripwire, which is pretty cool. They actually came out with two. They also came out with another one in 2001, but it was the exact same mold and figure, and I just didn't pick it up. It was one of those. I have it. I was like, okay, I was getting other ones that I needed at the time. But then they came out with this one, and then they came out with another one with like camo. It was really cool, a darker color. So it was nice. It was nice to have a couple of Tripwires. And then on his arm, he has his sergeant insignia there. If I can get a good shot of that, but yeah. So it's pretty cool. He's got, that might not be, I'm pretty sure that is, yeah, that's his sergeant insignia. So yes, he was promoted to sergeant, even though the file card only ever said E4. All the original Joes were at some point promoted. But that's going to take us to the classified figure. I have lots of figures to look at, so we're going to get through them. So here we go. Here is the box for the classified Tripwire. Now, he came with, they made him a deluxe figure, which that was okay, because it came with a lot of really cool stuff. But it was just like, he's one of the more obscure characters. And to have him, I love the box art. He's number 78 in the series. And the side with the stuff that nobody cares about. And then there's the loadout on the back, which you can finally see Tripwire's face, which I thought was pretty cool. And yes, we'll get into talking about the rat. But yeah, in 1983, they also had a character come out called Snow Job. Now, understandably, he is a deluxe figure, so I get that. Snow Job as a classified deluxe. So they have both of these. So I'm going to set him back over here. Put this off to the side here because I got lots, like I said, I got lots going on today. I'll end up putting it back since I'm done. It also came with one of the foot lockers that I like, number 78, and it has the whole loadout: Tripwire, Aspara, and McLeod. Mobile armored control lever for explosive ordnance disposal. So I actually thought that was pretty cool an acronym, which they come up with some pretty crappy ones, but that one's not bad. So I love these foot lockers. It's just nothing on the sides there, but they're just, you can put all the accessories in there, and he has quite a bit. And I'm going to open this up, and as I show you his accessories, I'm going to put them in the box so that I don't lose them, because he's got a lot. Now, I will talk about the rat last, because there's some cool stuff of this, because his name is Hindu or Indian, and so they never really brought that aspect of his character out, and he doesn't look it. But I'll show you him without the helmet on, and you'll see what I mean. But here is the classified Tripwire next to the vintage, and the loadout is very similar. He does not come with a combat knife. I'm kind of disappointed by that. Whereas, my thing is combat knives and sidearms are standard issue, but he does have a sidearm, which is nice. And there is one molded on the original figure, so he didn't have a combat knife on this. So they went they tried to steer as close to the original as they could. And on his shoulder, he does have his sergeant insignia. And on the classified, you can see it a little better, but maybe in the video, because I did make a really cool on Joe Takes 72. So that's it. That one's out. And I'll play it at the end of this video, before, after I do the checklist and all that cool stuff. Now, he also came with a heavier flak jacket so that it can protect him from explosives if they blow up on him, which has a tendency to happen. There are explosives that sometimes cannot be be safely disarmed, but can be detonated. And sometimes accidents happen. But he came with this really heavy-duty helmet, and came with a guard for his neck. Goes right around his head. And I was going to load him all up that way, but I decided against it. Now, the original, you could put 3 mines in the backpack, but on this one, you can only put 1, and it came with 2. And I'm a little disappointed with that. They could have had a peg system to put them in there, and it would have been nice, but they didn't do that. Now, let's check out his mine detector. It fits right onto the backpack, which it did not do in the classified or the modern. So let me just pop this off of here so we can check it out. But it is virtually the same with the upgrade. It looks a lot better, and you just slide it into his hand there, like you do on the. If I can do it properly with one hand, that's the problem. Let me. I haven't dropped anything yet, so I'm doing pretty good. But I missed the hand. All right, let's see if I can get this control stick in his hand without having to do some serious work. There we go. And so yes, now he is detecting for mines. Yeah, I think this is a really cool character. I do. Now, like I said, I'm gonna take his helmet off, and you can see him without the helmet. I won't do that with his other classified figure, which I will show you. Yes, he does have 2. But then he came with this. He also has this other thicker guard for. I'm not really sure. I think it's for his waist, so it goes on like a skirt. It's really big, and I'm pretty sure that's how it goes on. But I wasn't able to get it on him, so I'm not really 100% sure. And the box does not show him wearing it, so it just shows that he comes with it. Now I wish it would show him with the full gear loadout on the back of the box. That would be cool. But he came with this little remote control for McLeod. Now McLeod is this little tracked vehicle with a little claw end that it does move. It does adjust. It's it really has pretty good articulation for what it is. Just a little remote drone, little RC vehicle to go and either detonate explosives or disarm them, but remotely, so it's safer for the mine detector. Now, I think it would have been cooler if the tracks actually moved. Nothing moves on this. It's just one little solid piece of plastic, with the exception of the arm that has like 3 different parts. But it's pretty cool. And there's like a little handle right here so you can actually carry it. Hey, Phil, how you doing? Who are you and what have you done with Logan? Well, I'm still Logan. But I just got a haircut, my friend. It was bugging, so it was time. It was time to get the haircut. Yes. But it's good to see you, Phil. Now, like I said, on the backpack, it does have one of these mines in the backpack, and it wasn't very easy to put in there. So I'm not going to mess around with it. Thanks for the snacks. Jess is giving snacks. Where's my snacks, Jess? I guess I have to live in Florida to get snacks, or on the East Coast at least. And let me see. I'll pop his pistol out so you can take a look at it. It's just a standard sidearm, 9mm Beretta, most likely. It doesn't look like an M1911A1 to me, but I could be wrong. Last but not least, we have a Spara. Now, a Spara is a little rat with 0 articulation. She's got the little vest on to help her, with the mine detection. And I'm thinking that's a really good animal to train to look for mines. I thought that was a cool idea. And getting from his Hindu heritage, he named the rat Aspara, which is a Hindu goddess of like beauty and light and things of that nature. So he, I think it was pretty cool. They at least did that because his name is Tormod Esug, which I don't think I pronounced that right at all. But how do you pronounce that? I don't know. Tormod, I don't know. I apologize if that offends anybody, but that's my pronunciation and I'm sticking to it. I thought his name was pretty cool, actually. So yes, I'm going to slide all his accessories, except for the rat, back into the foot locker. Get those out of the way. And I will bring over this other box and move him to the side. And I'm going to set this box over here so it's out of the way. So I'm not knocking stuff down as I take a look at it. Now this one, it looks like an empty box. Oh, we have number 126 in the series. We have all the silly stuff for both the characters that came with this set. Now, this set also came with another character who came out in 1984, but was a Tiger Force character. So this is the Tiger Force version. So we'll be comparing my Tiger Force Tripwire with the classified Tiger Force Tripwire. So there it is, and I've got Roadblock here. And since it'll be a while since I do a Roadblock update, if I do one ever, I'll show the Tiger Force Roadblock, which I really like. And I did a Roadblock Joe take, so if you want more information on Roadblock, please check that one out. But the Tiger Force Roadblock is pretty cool, so we're going to be looking at that. But you know, he came with the same loadout of everything except for a Spara. Did not come with a Spara. He did come with another version of McLeod with a little Tiger Force emblem on it there, which I thought was pretty cool. It's a slightly different color, off just a bit. Extra mine that don't go in the backpack and the remote. But other than that, that was all he came with. He did not come with a Spara again, which I think is kind of cool because then there's only one Spara to me. So only one. Those weren't food, Phil. Oh, got him. Let me slide these two figures over here so I can take a look at them. Take a look at these two characters. All right, now Roadblock's really tall, so he almost is on camera. But there he is. There is the Tiger Force classified Tripwire and your vintage Tiger Force Tripwire side by side, so we can take a look at them. Now, I like this one. I still think I like this one better, but they made him look pretty good. And I still need to take off one of his helmets so you can see his head, because it looks the same on both. So it didn't change much. But yeah, they put a different color scheme on the mine detector, which I think the yellow paint on the handle, you know, I would have gone with black, but you know, yellow was kind of fitting the theme of the yellow, black, and brown for the Tiger Force and the deep greens that they had in Tiger Force. And so before I get to Roadblock, I'm gonna pop one of these guys' helmets off, and hopefully not the head as well, because it is on there really good. And I will show you what his face looks like without the helmet on, which he's not a bad looking figure at all. Like it shows on this box art, they show his face, which I thought was pretty cool. Whereas on the other one, they just showed him in the, I want one of those robots. Yeah, me too. Pretty cool. But yeah, there he is. Like I said, I think his hair is more ginger on the other one, on the Tiger Force one, but it's not much different. His face, it's the same sculpt and everything. So let me see if we can slide this back on without taking the head off, because sometimes that works better. But nope, popped it right back on there, and he's Tripwire again. There you go. That is your Tripwire. Now, that's Tripwire. But like I said, he came with Roadblock, which I thought was cool. So now, Roadblock, when he came out, he had 3 new weapons. Now, the first 2 came with the same gun, just different color. And it was this like big, gigantic railgun looking thing. And it was kind of ridiculous. I liked it. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't Roadblock. And then they came out with the heavy artillery Roadblock, which was based off the original Roadblock, but it came with the same gun that came with, let me see if I can grab it real quick. No, it's way back over there. But the Ram Cycle for the classified, and which you could take out and characters could use handheld. And so they did a handheld version of that for Roadblock. Now, what I thought would have been cool is if those would have gone into the Ram Cycles, because I have 3 Rams, and so interchangeable guns would have been pretty cool. But For some reason, they put a taser in the pack. I am not sure whether that taser gun is for Tripwire or Roadblock. I'm guessing it was for Roadblock because it was over on the inside. But you know, a lot of times the loadout they don't say. Now, here is the Tiger Force Roadblock, and he came, and the reason I went in talking about all the guns is because he came with the Ma Deuce, which is an M60 machine gun, which is what the original Roadblock came with. Does he and Roadblock work together? Why'd they put them in the same box? Okay, like I said, Tripwire's from 1984, Roadblock's from 1983, Tripwire, and Roadblock's from 1984. So they're 2 years apart, so they were definitely around at the same time. And then they were both put on Tiger Force together. So yes, originally they did work together under many circumstances. Just as far as I know, you know, only on that comic book cover back there. So I'll be showing that here in a minute. But when we get to talking to the comics, because that's the only comic I could find with Tripwire on the cover. And according to the internet, there isn't one. And I'm like, I know there was one. And I was looking at Dojo.com at how many Tripwires there were, and it showed that comic cover. And I'm like, oh yeah, I knew it. But yeah, he came with the original backpack looking stuff. It says chef on his backpack. This is the only way you know he's the G.I. Joe chef too. He's their cook. And he comes with a decent sidearm. Now his isn't a little dinky sidearm like Yo-Yo came with. He actually comes with one more his size. This is pretty massive. This would be closer to your M19 11A1 or your 45 automatic. That would be badass. I'm pretty sure it's the 45 or the 44. Either way, it's a big gun, which fits Roadblock, who's holding his machine gun. Now, the only downside was the original was green, the gun, but I actually prefer the black. And the belt of ammo goes right from the backpack to the gun. I think that's awesome. And this Ma Deuce is pretty cool. So yeah, now I will show you Roadblock without the yellow helmet, because that's the way most of the times you can see him. And look at that, he's got tiger stripes on his face. I thought that was pretty cool. And I don't think he has any anywhere else. I think it's just on his head. Let me get this helmet back on him. I can, without having to use two hands. There we go. Roadblock. He's got that mean scowl. Hello, Synthetic Panels. Welcome in. Appreciate you being here, Yo Joe. Taking a look at Tripwire and Major Bludd today from 1983. The only reason I'm looking at Roadblock right now is because he came in the 2-pack with Tripwire. So there you go. 2-pack with Tripwire. And I've already checked out both versions, classified versions of Tripwire and their vintage counterparts. I can pop them up here. So there we are. I have both. I have all of them. And then I have a couple other Tripwires we looked at, including the nasty orange one from the Speak and Say, and which was the first Tripwire I ever bought, but I thought it was great to have one. Came out in 1985, so there you go. And then the 25th anniversary Tripwire, which was pretty cool. So it's good to see everybody tonight. Hope you're all doing well, like I said. Now, I am going to set these back over here so that I can get to Major Bludd, who I've got right here. And we're going to take a look at Major Bludd. And, you know, we're going to talk about, look at the figures a little bit more after I talk about the characters. So, because I want to do a mashup between the two characters to see how their gear and their training and everything stack up. So yeah, it's supposed to be Tripwire versus Major Bludd, and a lot of people might think, oh, well, that's a pretty one-sided contest. Wouldn't Major Bludd just kill Tripwire? And if with a sniper rifle, maybe. Up close and personal, I'm not so sure about that. There are some things about Tripwire that most people aren't really aware of. But we'll get into that when we start talking about the character, and I play the file card videos for each character, which I'll get to in just a minute here after we look at Major Bludd. Let me get all my Tripwire figures out the way so we can look at this stuff. This file card's back over here. This file card, I should say. Now, Major Bludd I've already, like I said, I've already done a Major Bludd video. So if you want to know more about Major Bludd, this is his update. So please check out that video. He did come, he was number 27 originally, and he did come in a really interesting box. Cobra Island, it was a Cobra Island figure, Target exclusive. There's the top and the bottom, which nobody cares. And then the side art, which was incredible. Now, I have to say, this is a great Major Bludd figure, and it carries around to the front, as you can see. Now, I'm a little, not necessarily disappointed with the updated Major Bludd figure, because it's still cool. And it has some variations, and it's a little different, but it's pretty much the same in many ways, and because it looks very much the same. And if you don't take a close look at it, you might think, oh, other than the coloration and some of the cool paint jobs that it has on it, it's the same figure. But it is slightly different, and I prefer the box art in the original one. And this is number 166 in the series, so you can tell they've come a long way. I have one that's like 172 now, so I think by the end of next year, by the end of 2026, they will have 200. They will hit the 200s and have 200 classified figures, which is pretty awesome. The original went to about 500, so you know, classified is doing a pretty good job at trying to catch up now. All right, so I'm going to show the original Major Bludd with the same. He's got the same gear, same loadout. He has the hand cannon. And he has, as you can see on the back, if you can get a better look at that, there is a gun right there on the backpack. And these two missiles that are on the backpack come off, and they actually go and attach to the gun, but they fall off of this backpack super easy. And I was hoping that was something they would have resolved on the new figure, but they didn't. It's the exact same mold, and they fall off just the same. In fact, I think they fall off even easier. So I've got one missile in his hand there, and one attached to the missile launching gun. But yes, I wanted to show that it was very cool that it attached to his backpack, and I wanted to show that hand cannon. It does come with the dog tags. He claims to have killed several G.I. Joes. He does have one official one to his credit, and that is General Flag. Where to interrupt this? What's up? Nothing. Okay, I'm doing a Joe take. Thanks. Till I'm done. About an hour, hour and a half sometimes, and then I'll probably play Days Gone. So what's up? So there it is. So yeah, I've been playing Days Gone live on From the Hilt, and so it's pretty awesome. I'm having a good time with that. Anyway, so here's the updated Major Bludd, and like I said, very subtle changes. They made his arm look, his mechanical arm, they made it look slightly more mechanical. I don't know why they made the glove red on the mechanical arm, but yes, his right arm is definitely not a real arm, if you can see that. It's like a mechanical arm, and they made it look more like a mechanical arm. The pants are slightly different, but everything else, the helmet, everything, the head sculpt is completely different though. It is definitely a different head sculpt, and let me see. I can put them next to each other. You guys might be able to see that, and I think you can see it better in the video I made, the On Joe Take 72. So, but as you can see there, they have variations, but it is not the same head sculpt. The helmet, however, is the same. So there it is. That's the update for Major Bludd. Now, this is really a Tripwire video, and my Major Bludd is in my original vintage Major Bludd is in really bad shape, and I haven't shown it yet. Or I have a 1991 Major Bludd that I was looking for. I don't think I found it for the other video either. I might have, but coincidentally enough, I'm doing Joe Takes Reissued, and Major Bludd is next week. So Joe Takes Reissued 15, Major Bludd is next Wednesday, so check that out. It'll premiere on From the Hilt, and then shortly afterwards we'll post on the G.I. Joe Gamer channel. But here's the 25th anniversary Major Bludd, and then the original. That's not his original gun or his backpack. I traded for this figure. I wanted to get a new Major Bludd, but they're a little pricey right now, so I'm either going to wait or get it when I have more funds available. But that's my Major Bludd update. Now, as far as the character is concerned, there's nothing really new to update about Major Bludd. He's still the same mercenary Cobra officer leader that he always was, and you know, it is what it is, right? But that's all the figures I wanted to show you guys. Like I said, I want to put them back up here. I'm gonna bring Tripwire and Major Bludd back up here with a few accessories, so that we can go over the accessories and compare them and determine who would win in a confrontation between the two characters, like we did last month for Grunt versus Valkyries. We're going to do the same thing here, but we're also going to have a checklist after that. But however, we need to jump into the character of Tripwire and a little bit of Major Bludd. And I do have a file card for Tripwire and an updated one for Major Bludd that I'm going to play for you right now. And let's jump into that. Kill the music here, and here you go. Codename Tripwire.
G.I. Joe is the code name for America's daring, highly trained special mission force. Its purpose, to defend human freedom against Cobra, a ruthless terrorist organization determined to rule the world.
Yo, Joe. Tripwire. Mind detector. File name Tormod Skoog. Grade E5 Sergeant, U.S. Army. Birthplace Hibbing, Minnesota. Primary specialty explosive ordnance disposal. Secondary specialty demolitions. Tiger Fly co-pilot. Tripwire dropped out of high school while living on a naval base in Yokosuka, Japan. His father was a career Navy officer. He spent 2 years at a Zen monastery in Japan pondering the meaning of life, but was expelled for breaking too many dishes and spilling every conceivable liquid. He enlisted in the U.S. Army at 19 and claims to have experienced a spiritual awakening while standing on a grenade range. Since then, he's been obsessed with explosive ordnance, studying, diffusing, and neutralizing them with unnerving calm. Though awkward in social situations and prone to pratfalls, Tripwire is one of the best in the world at what he does, keeping his team alive when every step might be their last. From General Hawk's file. Tripwire freaks people out. He's clumsy, jittery, and always dropping things. Except when he's working with high explosives. The minute he's near a minefield or a live charge, he becomes focused, almost zen-like. It's unnerving, but reliable. I rerouted it!
G.I. Joe is the code name for America's daring, highly trained special mission force. Its purpose, to defend human freedom against Cobra, a ruthless terrorist organization determined to rule the world. Let's get it done. Cobra, Major Bludd, mercenary commander. File name Sebastian Bludd, birthplace Sydney, Australia. Primary specialty terrorism and assassination. Secondary specialty weapons and tactics, demolitions, military advising and process serving. Bludd received his initial training with the elite Australian Special Air Service Regiment, later volunteering for the French Foreign Legion, where he served with distinction in North Africa. Disillusioned with command structures and hungry for profit, he went rogue, offering his talents to the highest bidder. He has served as a military advisor for unstable regimes, executed high-value political assassinations, and orchestrated sabotage operations across multiple continents. Bludd is currently wanted in at least 7 countries for war crimes, terrorism, and unlawful combatant activity. Highly proficient with every form of modern infantry weapon, he combined battlefield skill with a ruthless tactical mind. His cyber-enhanced right arm,
armor-plated prosthetic in some sources,
is a grim reminder of a failed betrayal attempt that only made him more dangerous.
From General Hawk's files, Bludd is charismatic, sadistic, and utterly pragmatic. He views loyalty as a commodity and has no qualms switching sides if the pay is right.
Though Cobra has so far provided both the resources and targets he craves, he's notorious for reciting crude war poems of his own invention before battle or during executions. Major Bludd writes poetry badly. When you're feeling low and woozy, slap a fresh clip in your Uzi. Assume the proper firing stance and make the suckers jump and dance. Gone. A little bats.
Have we?
And there you go. Tripwire, Major Bludd. Tripwire's first file card I've done, and Major Bludd's updates. So there you go. Now, these two characters have almost never interacted, as far as I know, in any medium. In the comic book, possibly. I know they didn't interact in the one issue of the comic that I have with Tripwire on the cover. Tripwire wasn't really featured in the comics a lot, and I don't think Larry Hama really cared much for this character or thought he was useful on the battlefield. I mean, he's useful off the battlefield, but you know, he's Joe, so he had to pass all the rigorous training and everything that is involved in becoming a GI Joe. So you know, I don't know. As far as Tripwire is concerned, even in the cartoon, they had him like 2 or 3 episodes where he had a major role. The Captives of Cobra, where Cobra snatched up some Joe members' families. Tripwire's wasn't one of them. He had a part where he was the one determining the severity and the power of these explosive crystals that Cobra had created. And so, yeah, he had a little bit of a part in that, and it was kind of funny. The one he was in a little bit more was Flint's Vacation, but that was Flint's episode where, you know, he saved the day. You know, in the end, it was Tripwire who saved the day, not Flint. Flint was captured by Cobra, actually, in that. And the Joes had to rescue Lady J, and the Joes had to rescue him. But, yeah, Tripwire showed up and said he couldn't disarm the missile that Cobra fired, and so Cobra Commander was gloating. He said, "So you failed," and Tripwire said, "Not really." He said, "You have failed," and he said, "Not really. I rerouted it," and it went and blew up something of Cobra's, or I can't remember which, but it's been a long time. I did love that. You don't feel good, Jess? I'm sorry. I hope you get feeling better, my friend. You know. Well, you know, if you feel it, no, I'm not going to do Major Bludd poetry, but no, I hope you get feeling better. I really do. Okay, so as far as cartoon is concerned, like I said, he was barely in it. He had a part in Revenge of Cobra. He wasn't. I think he was in the first one a little bit. I don't remember much of him in that. Like I said, it's just if he was in it, I don't really have a lot of memorable moments with Tripwire in cartoon or comic. In the comic, though, when he first appeared, he led. He didn't lead, but he was on a mission with Torpedo and Mutt and Junkyard. And so there was an 83, 84, and Junkyard led them into a bunch of like quicksand and all sorts of stuff. Led the Cobras into quicksand. And I thought at first the Junkyard was not being a good dog, but he was actually doing his dog stuff to help the team. And Tripwire was just there, you know. He had a few moments, but he really wasn't a major character. And I think he went in because they thought maybe there would be some explosives in Zartan's house, his shack in the swamp. And it was an interesting storyline, but like I said, he was there. And there have been other missions where Tripwire was there, but I don't really remember anything memorable with Tripwire, even with this cover where he's with Roadblock, Gung Ho, and Snake Eyes, which is really badass. And so there he is with Roadblock. They both ended up being in Tiger Force together, which was cool. Now, so that's Tripwire in a nutshell. He's just their mine detector as far as the cartoon and Larry Hama was concerned. And then they were moving into the series, in the Sunbow series, and Tripwire was kind of out of the series by that point, out of the figures, except for Mr. Speak and Say, but they didn't have him in the cartoon. They had him in his original uniform, which I'm happy for. But I'm pretty sure that's what it was called, Speak and Say. And he came with a cassette. I managed. I saw him at I believe it was a Target, and I picked him up at it wasn't. I think it was Gemco at the time. It was a different name for the store. Target acquired it later, but whatever. Yeah, I managed to pick up that particular Tripwire in 1985. Okay, so the loadout. I'm going to go with the basics for Tripwire because everything else just makes him more invulnerable to explosives. All his extra gear just makes it harder for explosives to do anything to him. So, Major Bludd versus his gear, if he fired even the missile at him, would just knock him down. It might kill him by the impact, but he's likely going to survive. Depending on his conditioning. And Tripwire, if you was listening to the file card, he went to a monastery. He was in a monastery, and he got a spiritual awakening on the mine range. But it doesn't say that's what he was doing at the monastery. Now, there are two kinds of monasteries. There's the religious kind, and that's the most likely and most common. But there are also martial art monasteries, especially for in the Himalayas, where they were saying that they hinted that's kind of where he was at. It was let me see the file card. I got it right here. I might as well look at it. Says he was his father was career Navy, so he had a military background already in his life. He was a Navy brat. I don't know if that's what they call him because I know they call him Army brat, so I figured it's the same thing. But then it says that he spent 2 years in a Zen monastery. So Zen, that sounds Japanese. I don't know. Take that as you will. But I think he was doing other study while he was there. Like I said, his father was career Navy, so he was kind of rebelling against his dad because he joined the Army and stuff. But yes, I'm still live. Now we have a bed interrupt us, but that's okay. Okay. Well, is it bleeding? Okay, I'll pack it with gauze, and if it keeps bleeding, then we'll have to get you over to the emergency room. Okay. Life has a way of getting in the middle. I apologize for the interruption, but Ben's my kid, so more important. All right, so loadout wise, he's just got a sidearm, Tripwire. If he had a combat knife, that would be something. But Major Bludd doesn't have a combat knife either. So if it comes to hand, I think Tripwire would surprise the hell out of Major Bludd. Major Bludd does not have Zen training. Now, Tripwire had to go through the G.I. Joe training. He was raised by a martial arts monastery. Anyway, so Tripwire, he had Zen training. Then he went into G.I. Joe. And on the G.I. Joe training, new shirt, by the way. I hope you guys like that. In the G.I. Joe training, you have to stand in a pit with all the other potential Joes and fight until there's nobody else standing until they blow the whistle. And so Tripwire had to get through that. So he's all G.I. Joes know how to fight. And I don't think Major Bludd has that kind of discipline. Now, that being said, this hand cannon is going to penetrate that armor. There's just without a doubt in my mind, even the heavy duty armor. The missile is designed, these missiles are designed to explode with the gun. I took them off because I didn't want them dropping all over the place. But yes, the missiles and the gun, the gun that fires them, that's all it does. is designed to explode, and it doesn't look. I mean, yeah, they don't look like high impact or high explosive. You know, they could be anything that Major Bludd puts on there, but or puts into them, as it were. But I think Tripwire, even with his light gear, would pretty much, if he dodged, I mean, would likely survive one of Major Bludd's missile strikes. If Major Bludd sets explosives anywhere, which Major Bludd's been known to do, Tripwire's got his little drone, and he's got, by remote, and he's got a Spara, which Major Bludd is on his own, and he wants to be on his own. So there it is in a nutshell. Now, that all being said, I don't think Tripwire is ruthless. Major Bludd is ruthless, and he will kill. Will Tripwire kill if he has to? Major Bludd doesn't have that drawback. He will kill if you're in his way. He's also been known to be hired by the U.S. government to assassinate people in the comics. So he's good with a sniper rifle. Sniper rifle, 50 caliber, will go right through any armor that Tripwire's got. So that's that. And so yes, Major Bludd knows how to use a sniper rifle. However, he didn't come with one. I wish he had. The new one didn't either. That would have been cool. Did you ever explain the rat? I did. Yes, this is a Spara, and her name is Hindu, and it's the name of a Hindu goddess, light and purity and beauty and all sorts of nice things. So it's kind of cool that they have. He came with the little rat, which would be a very good animal to train to detect mines. So very light on their feet. They probably wouldn't set a mine off, But yeah, I did explain the rat, but I explain it again for you, Jess. No biggie. So from a distance, Major Bludd wins. Up close, I think Tripwire would give him a run for his money and might be able to take him out. However, I think again there's that ruthless factor. So, as far as I'm concerned, I think Major Bludd stacks a little higher and can take Tripwire out anyway. Even though I like Tripwire and I think he's cool, a mashup between these two. I did it because it was. I want to do that. I want to do these mashups that you just would not see, and you definitely wouldn't see this mashup. I don't think they've ever had these two, maybe in the same episode or maybe in the same comic book, but never facing one another, as far as I can tell. And so my opinion, Major Bludd would beat Tripwire, but not hands down. Now, if Tripwire got the drop on Major Bludd, he would take him out like any other Joe would. Major Bludd get the drop on Tripwire, it's over. He killed General Flagg. He'll have no problem killing this little sergeant, E5 sergeant, enlisted dude. And then, like I said, as much as I like Tripwire and I think he's a cool character, I think Major Bludd would take him out. Now, do I like Tripwire more than Major Bludd? I don't think so. I think I like Major Bludd a little bit better, but he's a Cobra, and I kind of keep my favorites of G.I. Joe and Cobra separate. But I do like both characters, and they both came out in a really good year for G.I. Joe. A strange year, and I'm going to go into that here in a bit when I talk about the checklist when we get into that. You missed a lot, and we got Cool Gamer 2 popping in here. What's up, Cool Gamer 2? Well, there's always the replay, Jess. But I think Major Bludd would win. Tripwire versus Major Bludd. I think Major Bludd would win, and only because the ruthless factor of Major Bludd. He's a killer. Plain and simple, he's a killer. And I don't think Tripwire is. I think Tripwire would do everything in his power to take Major Bludd alive. And I think that, in the end, would be his undoing versus Major Bludd if they were alone versus each other. Now, on that same token, Tripwire is smarter than Major Bludd. Far smarter. Now, Major Bludd has a military mind, but Tripwire is just smarter. I mean, he knows. He has to memorize so many different types of explosives and bombs, and he's smart. So he could figure out a way to defeat Major Bludd given time. Hand to hand, he might even take Major Bludd out. From a distance, Major Bludd's got him So you know, overall, I'm rolling with for Major Bludd on this one. But you guys, let me know what you think in the chat if you want, or in the comments. I would appreciate that. That would be cool. I'm gonna set these back over here, and then we're gonna get into something a little different. That is my take on Tripwire and my update for Major Bludd. But I did want to start these checklists, and so I'm going to go over each character one at a time. And I do have a lot of file cards we're going to take a look at real quick. And yeah, I'm going to go over them, and we're going to say, hey, this guy is classified or is not. I need to get in here and put these Cobras down here because I'm going to do Cobras separate in between the years because I have to say that's not what I wanted. But hello, Cobra Commander. They didn't. Cobra was kind of an afterthought in 1982, and that's where we're going to start is with 1982 stuff. And I'll go into some of my thoughts on that as well. But I wanted to make sure that these were out of the way. And we're going to go alphabetically. Breaker. I do not have a 1982 or 83 Breaker. I do have one from the 2000s that came with a comic pack. I like that one. It's pretty cool. But it does not look like the original much at all. And then they came out with one in the 25th anniversary that I got that came with the RAM cycle. And I like that one a lot. And they do have two classified versions, which I have. The one that came with the RAM, again, with the classified. And I do not have the new one yet, which was a Hasbro Pulse exclusive. So that they do have one. So he's a yes for classified and no for me on vintage. All right, next up would be Clutch. Clutch came with the Vamp originally. I do have an 80, it could have been 82 or 83 Vamp. I purchased it on eBay, and it came with both. It came with an 82 Clutch and an 83 Clutch. So I have both on that one. And yes, they brought out a Vamp with a Clutch in the classified line. And there is a 25th anniversary one, which I have as well. So I have all three versions of those. Grand Slam. Grand Slam originally came with a heavy artillery laser or Howl. He basically is a Flash clone with a different head. He's basically a laser artillery soldier, very similar to Flash, only he's got a bigger bang with his gun. And I do have that, and they do not have that classified. And they came up with a few other versions of him in the 25th anniversary, which I do have. I do have one. They came with a jetpack actually, which was weird because the original Jump Jetpack came with. Yeah, and it wasn't weird because he came with Silver Fatigue's Grand Slam came with the jetpack, which for some reason I don't know if I have that second file card for him. Because that was his. Oh, there it is. I do have it. Okay, cool. Because there were 3 Joes that they brought out again in 1983 with different colors. They came out again in this color scheme too. So, Flash, no, he does not have a classified version, and I do not have a 1982 or 83 Flash. I have a Flash that looks like an astronaut. I have the 25th anniversary Flash, which came carded. I do have that, and I do have let's see. I have a Rise of Cobra Flash, which was in a black uniform that was really awesome. I really like that Flash. So then there's Grunt. I do have the 1982 Grunt that I acquired recently for the last Joe Takes, and it's not in very good shape. I'm probably going to try to acquire a 1983 Grunt. And then yeah, they had one in 91, I think, and I have that one that came out. And then they had definitely a 25th anniversary that came with a 3-pack for G.I. Joe officers. I got that, and then I have the classified version of Grunt as well. So yes, he's a yes. So far we only have 2 no's on classified, and that's Grand Slam and Flash. Hawk just came out. He's like right behind me with the MMS. So yes, I do have the classified Hawk, and I do have the 1983 version of, oh no, I think it's the 83 version of Hawk. So I do have the MMS, which is right there as well. If I can point properly, there we go. And yeah, so they did come with this is just came out this year, and I'll be taking a look at that at some point in the future, probably when I do a Hawk update. Because I have I have a Joe take on Hawk already. So yes, Hawk is a yes. Rock and roll is a yes. I've got the retro Hawk, retro Grand Slam, rock and roll. I can speak. I have the retro Grand Slam behind me too, and I have the one that came out in the box. So you say rock and roll is what I'm talking about, not Grand Slam. And we dropped the game with extra hands, but yes, they have a classified. Even though they have two versions. This is the second one. This is the retro one. The boxed version of Grunt that came out for the classified has lighter colored greens on his uniform, but other than that, it's pretty much the same. So there that is. And for 1982 and 83, because all these characters for 1982 came out as 83 characters with swivel arm battle grip. So Scarlet, I do have the original 1982 Scarlet. I did not have her crossbow, and that's all she came with. I did get the 92 version of Scarlet, which came with Ninja Force. It was a crappy figure. Then they came out with a few variations. I have a few different Scarlet figures in the 2000s. And for the modern 25th anniversary line, yes, they had several, and I have those. And then they came out with Scarlet early on in the classified line. She was like number 4, I think, 4 or 5. She was early on in the line. And then they brought out a movie figure of her, which looked really good. So they definitely have Scarlet in the classified, and I have that. And they have a retro Scarlet, which is really cool, which I have that too. Short Fuse. Okay, Short Fuse was a no, but he is out now for the classified, and he comes with Steeler. So we'll be talking about that a little bit more when we get to Steeler. And Short Fuse was the first 1982 figure I ever had. Mine is messed up. I need a new one, but I did have him. And mine was 1982. He was definitely not swivel arm battle grip, which his arms broke right away, and I replaced them. And I do not have the original, so I couldn't even repair them if I wanted to. I don't know what I did with them back in the 80s. So then we have Snake Eyes, which is yes, yes, and yes. So I do not have the 1982 or 83 Snake Eyes, but I do have pretty much all the rest of them. That's pretty much the only vintage one I don't have. I do have different versions of it that came out in the 2000s with comic packs and other things, but I do not have the 1982 Snake Eyes. But they do have the very first classified figure come out was the 00, and that was Snake Eyes, and the deluxe Snake Eyes came out, and then he came out. He was like number 2 again, and so he had 2 versions of Snake Eyes right away. And then they had the movie figure come out, and then they had a Snake Eyes Commando with Timber come out. So they had the 82 version in the classified as well as the 85 version, which is the one that everybody likes. And recently, then they had a Desert Snake Eyes come out, and another Snake Eyes come out with Timber with the 85 version. And then they've got a 91 Snake Eyes in classified that I haven't picked up yet, but they do have them. They do have Snake Eyes all over the classified line. Stalker has 2 classified versions. I have both, the retro and the boxed, and I have the retro carded right here behind me that I have not opened yet. So I'll show you that real quick. So yeah, they did come out with a classified Stalker, and I have that, and I have several versions of Stalker except for the 1982 Stalker or 83. I never got it. I do want one of those. Again, a little pricey right now, so for me. Steeler originally came with the Mobat tank. Now, as far as classified, he's coming out in a 2-pack with Short Fuse, so I think that dims anybody's hopes of getting a classified Mobat, but there it is. I do not have the 82 or 83 Steeler. Never had them. Never had the original Mobat. I got the Mobat years later in the modern iterations, and in 1998, they came with a 2-pack with a different character, Thunderwing, who was basically a Thunder figure with a different code name because Thunder was dead in the comics at the time. So they gave him a different code name, or they didn't have the rights to Thunder. But they brought Thunder out again later, so I don't know. They reacquired it or whatever. But Steeler, he will be in the classified here pretty soon. I need both so I don't have these, but he's there. And then there's Zap. So Zap is there was their original Bazooka Soldier. I do not have a 1982 or 83 Zap. Like I said, I didn't start collecting until 85, so a lot of these OG Joes I do not have. And that's sad, and I do want to acquire them, and I'm slowly doing that as we go through these, and when I can. Zap was pretty cool. They do not have a classified version of Zap. I do have a 25th anniversary Zap and a 1991 Zap, which was really cool. So I do have versions of Zap, but just not the original. Okay, now in 1982, the afterthought was Cobra. They had the Joes, but they didn't have an enemy, and Marvel Comics wanted an enemy for them to fight. So they allowed Marvel Comics to come up with a group called Cobra, and the first one they came out with was Cobra, and he eventually became known as the Cobra Trooper or Cobra Soldier. I originally called him Cobra Soldier, and a lot of other people did, but they call him the Cobra Trooper. And I have various versions of this character, just not the original. I did have an original at one point. I had picked up in 1982. I didn't know what the Cobra Officer or the Cobra was. I didn't even know they were what GI Joe was back when I purchased them, and I found them in my I found them amidst my toy collection, and one of them has since fallen apart, and I have amalgamated one Cobra Trooper out of a Cobra Officer body and a Cobra Trooper head. Because my Cobra Officer, I moved on and put in a Cobra Commander body because I really like this character. So I had them, and they definitely have Cobra Troopers and Cobra Infantry, same character in the line. Marvel invented Cobra, yes, a guy named Archie Goodwin. He was the editor of the G.I. Joe comic that first came out, and he and Larry Hama put it together, yeah. And then they had basically a missile command headquarters that they brought out. It was like this cardboard thing that they decided to put out something for Cobra at the last, because they had some vehicles for GI Joe. They had the Vamp, they had the Ram Cycle, they had the Mobat, they had the Ram, they had the Jump Jet, which is a jump pack set. It was really cool, and the Flak was a cannon that came out, and the HAL. Let's not forget the house. So they had stuff for GI Joe, but they had nothing for Cobra. So they brought out this missile. It was a Sears exclusive thing too. So a lot of people got it, and it came with a Cobra Trooper. Well then, came with a Cobra Trooper, a Cobra Officer, and Cobra Commander. And other than that, the only way to get Cobra Commander the first year was by a mail order. Now they have several versions of Cobra Commander, including the retro Cobra Commander, which looks a lot like that figure, but they will not come out with a hooded Cobra Commander for some reason, which came out in 1984 as a mail order. Well then, so that is 1983, and I went through it really quick so we can get into 1983. 1982 characters is done, and so yes, overall, Cobra is complete in the classified line for the 1982-83 characters. For the redone for 1982. Okay, they do not have a Zap. They do not have a Flash or a Grand Slam. So we still have 3 1982 Joes that need to be put into the classified. And that's where we're at on G.I. Joe and Cobra for classified and vintage versus vintage. Now I'm going to do the Cobras first, since I've got them all lined up together. And the very next year, they brought only one carded new Cobra out at first. Now, I'll get into that. And that was Destro. Destro was out right away, and they definitely have a classified version of this figure, and I have that. And I did have the original Destro, because they still sold him in 1985, but mine got messed up, and I got a 1992 or 93 Destro. And so I had an 88 Destro as well with the gold helmet. So I had a Destro, and mine fell apart, and I lost all the pieces, and there it is. I don't have a Destro anymore, but I do want to reacquire it. Okay, somebody is texting me. Oh, okay, cool. I don't know what that's for. I got to check on my kid here pretty soon, so I got to get done here as fast as I can. Sorry, guys. And then I've got some other stuff going on my phone. Okay, I just wanted to make sure nothing was emergency-wise because my wife is in California right now. Okay, then they also came out with 2 vehicles. And the first one was the HISS tank, which came with a HISS driver, which I don't know why it's not going up on the screen. There it is. Okay, HISS driver, which was a really cool figure. And I actually got him before Cobra Commander with a mail-away HISS. And so he was my Cobra Commander for a while. The CI says grade 05, that makes him a major, or no, actually a lieutenant colonel in the Army. That's what that would be. Well, then. All right, so the HISS driver. I have the vintage HISS. Mine broke apart, but I still have my HISS driver. So I have this character. They did come out with one classified, but it was a HasLab, so there's no way I could have afforded it, and so I don't have it. But they do have a HISS driver in the classified. So again, there it is. They have this guy here, the Viper pilot. He came with a styrofoam hang glider, and it was kind of neat. They had a G.I. Joe one like that too, but I'll get into that. It was an older figure with a new color scheme. I'll talk about that in a bit. But no, they have not come out with a Viper pilot. They have Cobra pilots, but not a Viper pilot. This was basically a Cobra Trooper, but with a little bit of different paint scheme. But it was pretty much the same figure. Glad you're laughing at me, Jess. Okay. Now they did have one more figure come out in 1983 for Cobra. And that was a mail away at first, but then by the fall, they had him out on card, and that was our boy Major Bludd. Last but not least, the guy we talked about a little bit tonight. So they do have, they have classified and vintage, and I have both. So there you go. Major Bludd, done, Cobra, done. So I don't know if they'll ever come out with a Viper pilot, and that's the only Cobra they didn't come out with. So we're talking 3 from 1982 and that they didn't have. Total, and they're 3 Joes: Flash, Grand Slam, and Zap. So there you go. Now, in 1983, they came out with 10 new Joes, and I was supposed to show this when I showed that cover, but I didn't need to. So there it is in a nutshell. All right. They came out with a F-14. They called it the XPF F-14, and they came out with a pilot named Ace, which was really cool. They do not have Ace in the classified. I do not have the vintage. I did have the vintage figure. I have several versions of Ace, but not the original. So it's something I need to acquire too. Airborne. I have the vintage. They have a classified version of him, and I do have Airborne. So that one's a yes. Cover Girl. She came with the Wolverine tank originally. It was a missile tank. It wasn't a full tank. It was just a missile launcher, basically. And she had a blase kind of figure when that came out. The second girl in the line, or second woman, let's put it that way, in the line, and she was a badass. She was a fashion model who became a mechanic. I really like Cover Girl. So yes, they have 2 classified versions of her. I do not have the retro yet. Working on getting that, but I do have the other version. And no, they did not bring a Wolverine out. She came in the box. So there we go. Doc. I do have the vintage Doc. And I do have the classified version in the box of Docs. Doc is the cool character, so I have both. And I have other ones, but yeah, I have the original. I have that one. So here's the one that came with the Jump Jet, the version of Grand Slam. All they did was paint his protective pads, his flat gear. They painted him silver, and they had him come out with the Jump Jet pack, which the Jump Jet pack was available in '82, but without a figure. So that's where this figure comes from. Then the G.I. Joe hang glider that came out that year came with a beige or tan grunt, a desert grunt. I wish they had done this with all the Joes from the original year, because desert versions of them would have been really cool. They did this with one other figure in 1984, and that was Clutch. But yeah, they do not have a desert version of Grunt in the line yet, and the only one they have is the boxed Grunt. So I do not have the 1983 Grunt that came with the Falcon glider. They're not easy to come by, and they're pretty expensive. So that's where I'm at with that. Okay, so that's those 2. Gung Ho. There's my boy Gung Ho. He's cameo Joe. I just had a reissued. I just did a reissued version of him, and it'll be coming out in 2 weeks on a Wednesday night. So it would be Major Bludd, then Gung Ho. So I've got him coming on, and I did his reissued. He had 2 figures. I covered them both in the video for classified, and I do have an original 1983 Gung Ho that I acquired for that video. So there it is. I'm trying. Okay, now we got Snow Job next up. Snow Job. I showed you the classified version of him already, so you know there's a classified. I do have my original, but he yellowed so bad, and I ended up getting another one that's the same figure, but just came out with a more modern one. So I do have Snow Job, several versions of him actually. So yes, yes, and yes on Snow Job. So the only one so far that's a no really is Ace. Torpedo. I have the original Torpedo from '83. I also have the classified Torpedo that came out, so that's yes and yes. And we looked at Tripwire tonight, so you know it's all yes, yes, and yes. And Wild Bill, also a HasLab, so they do have a classified Wild Bill. I do have a 1983 Dragonfly and a 1983 Wild Bill. Not my original. That was one of the first vehicles I ever got, but mine fell apart, and so did my Wild Bill. But I have reacquired them, and I would like to acquire the Wild Bill for classified and the Dragonfly if I ever can. I would settle for the figure because Wild Bill is one of my favorite characters. And there it is. So he's a yes and yes. And then they had a mail away figure that year for G.I. Joe, and that was Duke. And so they had 2 mail aways. They had Duke and Major Bludd. And this is the only way Duke was available in 1983, was with the mail away Duke. And yes, they have a retro version of this figure plus another version. They have 2 versions of Duke, so I think there's 3 in the classified line. They have the one they came out with that looked more modern. Then they had the Tiger Force, which was the same figure, but just in like the Tiger Force look. And then they have the retro, which looks like the original. So yes, on that one. So the only one they need really for '83 is Ace, because Grand Slam is from '82 and they don't have him yet, and they have a Grunt. So, but a Desert Grunt would be nice. So that is my checklist for 1982 and 1983. G.I. Joe Classified and G.I. Joe Vintage. I hope you guys enjoyed the little quick checklist. Sorry, I had to make it brief because I need to check on my kid and make sure they're okay. And I will likely, if everything's okay around here, I'll likely go on a little while and play some Days Gone. But that's me. I'm enjoying that. That is my take on 1982-83 characters, and my classified and vintage versions, and my take on Tripwire versus Major Bludd. Hope you guys enjoyed tonight. We've been hanging out for quite a while, and it's longer than normal, but that's okay. I don't mind when it goes over, but I hope you guys have a great night. And, you know, it's G.I. Joe. So I hope you guys enjoyed my takes on all these characters, and I will see you tomorrow night. I'm going to be reading Prisoner of Elderwood on From the Hilt exclusively. That's not G.I. Joe stuff, so it won't be on G.I. Joe Gamer channel. And that's an Endless Quest book. Get audience participation in the chat. They decide, I read, and we have a lot of fun. So join me for that tomorrow. And on that note, my friends, we will see you next time. I've got some videos I'm going to play for you, and then the outro, and then we will see you next time. So on that note, my friends, I have to say, Logan out.
Yeah, I see you out there in the dirt, Bludd, thinking your little minefields are gonna stop me. Watch me walk through your poetry with wire cutters and style. Let's see who's left smiling.
Boots hit the soil and the vibe gets strange. Clown shoes walking through a danger range. Hands shaky when I'm making toast, but give me C4, man, I'm the ghost. Heartbeat don't rise, I just breathe and dig. While you playing poet, I'm rigging the gig. One wire buzz and your bass goes black. Better pray I trip, cause if I don't, I attack. I'm the fuse, I'm the calm. In the middle of the hum. They say I'm shook, but I'm surgical. In chaos, I'm them chemicals. Red, green, I wonder. Well, I'll cut the wire that feels right. Hope I don't blunder. Looking shaky, but I'm steady in my mind, steady in my hand. But one misstep and I'm out of the band. Red, green, I wonder. Time to bring the thunder. I'm to bring the thunder. You hide in bunkers, I walk on fire. Playing hopscotch with barbed wire. You recite verses like a cobra bard, but my punchlines hit twice as hard. Yeah, your rhymes weak like your tactics blind. Got landmines singing lullabies while I recline. I'm the joke until I'm not. You know the moment when I pop the spot. I don't shake, I don't stall. When the countdown starts to crawl, this is it, in the middle of doom. And brother, I bring the boom. Red, green, I wonder. Well, I'll cut the wire that feels right. Hope I don't blunder. Looking shaky, but I'm steady in my mind, steady in my hand. But one misstep and I'm out of the band. Red, green, I wonder. Time to bring the thunder. I'm gonna let that thunder sing. Say I'm clumsy. Yeah. I spill soup, I trip on air, but hand me that cord and I'm floating in prayer like whoosh, mind clear. Fingers glide, my balance nice, just delayed stride, and blood's bad poetry when you're feeling low and woozy.
Logan's room full of Joe take dreams. Crimson guard with eyes on the team. Snake eyes silent and mean, but tough to rile. Roadblock rhymes and cooks with style. Duke as the first shirt, making with a plan. Cobra commander schemes with his clan. Scarlet sharp hits hard, flips fast. Destro's armor gleams from the past. Logan's G.I. Joe takes fierce and honest view. Red versus blue, it's up to you. Stay a while and listen for the consumerism. Logan's G.I. Joe's takes given with enthusiasm. Zartan shifting sneaks in disguise. Storm Shadow's blade cut through lies. Baron is cold with her deadly aim. Shipwreck laughs, wins the game. Doc's healing hand in the fray. Flint shotgun clears the way. Major Bludd's battle cry echoes near. General Hawk leads, we cheer. From the hilt on YouTube, tune in for a day. Joe takes to help you with your play. Let's put these characters to the test. Logan's the G.I. Joe gamer, plays it best. Yo, Joe, Cobra, let's go. Let's go. Logan's G.I. Joe takes fierce and honest view. Red versus blue, it's up to you. Stay a while and listen for the consumer